Planet Nexus. A legendary world, once home to an ancient race of near limitless power. Its wonders have attracted adventurers from the furthest reaches of the galaxy. Driven by desperation and destiny, they fight to control the planet's extraordinary mysteries. And now, an even greater secret is about to be revealed. I'd say things are going to get wild. I do so love a good party.
Rated T. Smile like a meat, everybody.
Well, how about that video, everyone? Awesome! So, welcome to the WildStar livestream, and we're here on the road to free-to-play, and we are welcoming all of you watching this Twitch live stream right now. So here with me, if you didn't know who I am, my name is Dee Dee, and I am your community manager for WildStar. And I'm sitting here with Carrie, our brand manager, Mike Donatelli, our product director, and the everlicious awesomeness Chad Moore, who's our creative director.
I want to call BS on that. I didn't get an everlicious title. I demand
Everlicious, yes.
And
I like it.
And the everlicious Pappylicious, isn't that it?
I like it.
Yeah.
So
how is everybody doing?
awesome.
Awesome.
We're excited.
Super excited.
This is a very exciting time for us.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you know, but WildStar is going free to play.
No. What?
Oh,
Oh, I just heard.
Figured I'd
Oh, man.
Before we get started, though, can we seriously talk about how amazing that flick was?
It was.
We haven't had a flick in a while, and I remember seeing the storyboards early on, and then when they showed an early take of that, they threw in the caretaker DJ, and I died.
And you
it was amazing.
and you
She
enjoy a
literally
good
died.
flick.
We actually
I
had
do
the
like a good flick, yes.
we had the paddles. Carrie's alive again.
I'm here.
Oh
So
yeah.
big thanks to our cinematics team because they really, knocked that one out of the
They
park.
definitely hit that one out of the park. I agree.
Well, we're going to go ahead and to give you a summary of the stream today, what we're here to talk about and to bring to you is essentially our discussion of the free-to-play transition. By now you have heard by reading the content on our site, by following us on Twitter, Facebook, the live stream, Reddit, all of our social places. Basically, you've heard we're transitioning to free-to-play in the fall. So we're here to bring some answers to some questions, to discuss some of the things that have happened over the last year to get us this far, and to go ahead and pursue, again, explaining to you guys, our players, the people that we love, and the reason we do all of these things for, why we're going there, and the reasonings behind it. So,
At the end of the stream, we're going to have a Q&A, so if you have any questions for us, in the chat, put Q:, and then your question, we'll be sure to answer it at the end. And if there's anything that you still have, questions you want to have answered at the very end, be sure you follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and also follow us on the forums. All the links are down below, and you could continue the discussion after the stream.
Yeah, there's a very specific thread on the forums that's just for Q&A
Yes.
for free to play, so definitely check it out.
absolutely. All your feedback goes there. We bring it in, we discuss it amongst ourselves, and make decisions based on that. So here, speaking of the transition to free-to-play and our road to free-to-play, yesterday was a really huge success for us. We were trending on, WildStar was trending on Twitter. Forbes mentioned us and promoted us. PC Gamer had some content regarding our free-to-play transition and more info on that. We had documentation and content on our website helping to answer player questions that we think that you would ask first. Some of the more important things, like what your subscription provides versus lapsed subscriptions. Well, of course, we're further on in the show, we're going to address a lot of those questions in more detail. Again, as Carrie said, your questions count to us and they matter, and so we're going to answer some of those at the end of the show. So, moving in, I guess the question that everybody wants to know is what we want everyone, what we want why we want everyone to play WildStar. Sorry, guys, and what we've done over the last year to make that happen.
Okay. Well, back in January, I released a State of the Game address that really kind of focused on 3 core ideals that we were going to be looking at moving forward, so the players would realize what we were doing in the upcoming year. One of the things was player feedback, right? It's easy to say you're listening to player feedback, but it's another thing entirely to actually execute on that feedback. So we wanted to make kind of a commitment to the players that we were going to listen to their feedback. One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we got was that the game was too grinding. There was just too much of a grind. So we've been focusing on that with pretty much every one of our releases since then, of just focusing on making the game more streamlined, more of a fun experience. We also talked about player types and different kinds of content for different types of players. We wanted to make sure the players realized that we were not solely a game that was going to be making content for one certain type of player, like a raid or a dungeon. We have PvE players, we have crafters, we have a lot of different types of players. We want to make sure everyone knew that we were making content for all of those types of players. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback we got about that was short session gameplay, where players were saying, hey, if I want to get into your game for an hour or 35 minutes or something in between, what do you guys have for me? And we had to take a really hard look at the game, and we've been kind of doubling down on that short session gameplay. And then finally, we just wanted to talk about growing and enhancing the game, and pretty much that is at the core of why we're talking about this now, is why we wanted to go free to play.
Now, you mentioned short session gameplay. What do you mean by that? Can we expand on that? Is there content inside the game that specifically adheres to that?
One of the easiest, the thing we could jump on right away is ship hand missions. We have these ship hand missions, which are they're one player can do them, a group can do them. They're scalable. They're in our LFG tool. You can get in and out of them. I logged in yesterday and ran 2 ship hand missions. Took me about an hour. Got some loot, logged out. So it's definitely, that's partially, there's public events. There's a lot of those pieces of content. We put them all into the LFG tools. You can search for them. We've done a lot to try to double down on that. In one of the drops, which we'll get into a little bit later, we added veteran level stuff to all the ship hands, so that even capable players have that kind of short session gameplay. It's been very effective for us.
I think too, Mike, you said at the end, right, your state of the game, the last thing was growing and enhancing the game itself. And really, free-to-play is the culmination of that last promise, right? We had a lot of discussions about what free-to-play meant, what philosophies we wanted to adhere to as we took the WildStar from a subscription game to free-to-play. And really, the important thing was, as a studio, we decided we wanted anyone in the world who wanted to play WildStar to be able to do that. We didn't want any barriers in the way, so we said, what's the easiest way to do that? Get rid of the box price, get rid of the sub, and with that, basically, the only real logical answer to letting anyone in the world who wants to play WildStar was just to go free to play.
Yeah.
And to expand on the box price thing, that doesn't mean just the box. It also means the digital. We say box in-house sometimes, but it's expanding across. Basically, if you bought WildStar, that's what we're talking about.
It's like you bought a digital box. So think of your digital think of your digital box as counting as a box.
I take my digital box everywhere I go.
Do you?
Well, yeah, it's, have digital box, we'll travel.
Sure, absolutely.
Everybody knows that.
Awesome.
Nothing better than a good digital box.
So we're bringing more players into the game. That's one of the big goals with free-to-play. More people for me to gank on the PvP server, which is awesome. So how have we started this road to free-to-play? We've had some really successful drops in the past few months.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to expand on that?
Yeah, so Mike's State of the Game address was back in January, but really this road started, I think, on back in November of 2014, where we released an update to the game that was called Mystery of the Genesis Prime.
It was our first quarterly release.
First quarterly release, yeah.
Yep.
In that release, we really doubled down on what we call the world story in WildStar. So this is where players learn about Drusera, they learn about the mysteries of Planet Nexus, they learn what happened to the Elden, and then they're ultimately introduced to the threat, right, that is threatening both Nexus and the universe beyond. So in that particular update, we really focused on storytelling. We released the first chapter of what we call the Nexus Saga, which is sort of a series of story-driven instances where we focus on the player's role in resolving this threat, right? We had full VO in that instance. We had really high detail cinematics, which we had really only shown in marketing cinematics up to that point. Now we're actually doing that in a game. It was a really, really great release, and I think overall set the stage for the updates that came later on in 2015.
And as I've said, it was Chad's magnum opus.
It was. Our lore has become a thing. Loremageddon is Chad's baby. With his team, they make this beautiful backstory, and the reason why Nexus is Nexus and all of these things. And one of the things to come from that is just the series of stories that have evolved and based essentially on player feedback, and that's one of the things. And if you could expand on that, I mean, one of the favorite things that came from that, I think people will recognize, especially recently with the recent our recent game update, is the Snarfle links. So if we could just expand on some of that lore stuff.
I want to know if we can cut back to Chad's gigantic holographic head on the webpage, because it's a super cool holographic skull. I mean, look at the size. Look, and it's like brain waves, like it's his gigantic cranium, which we were talking about earlier. Like that is
like a Harry Potter little.
Oh yeah, that's like it's like I think that's lore.
Okay,
I think it's lore coming out of his head.
Okay, that's great. Anyway, Dee Dee, to answer your question, I think obviously a game is a living thing, right? And so we released our game. There's lots of lore and lots of stories that we tell in there, but ultimately we can't tell everything there is to know about the WildStar universe in the game. So we started this initiative with Loremageddon to allow players in the community to ask us questions about things they want to know, right? Things that aren't necessarily answered in the game but are vital to knowing about the WildStar universe. So we gathered a bunch, I think like 500 or 600 questions the first time we did it, and over time we've been answering those. We post the answers up on our website, and I think it has just been a great way for us to engage with the community and at the same time enhance the overall universe of WildStar. So
and that's not ending, right?
No, that is an ongoing initiative. We will continue to do that in the future.
Which means, the at least the web content is going to continue, and of course, content in games is never ending. But so that's an exciting thing, and that goes on into what, Carrie?
Well, I have one big question for Chad, and I guess it's for Tony too. We've been talking about this for a year now. When are we going to have a Loremageddon video series or live stream? Story time with Pappy, fireplace, smoking jacket, pipe. I feel like this could be a big thing.
I'm ready,
Take the web series to a
Whenever you guys
video.
want to set this room up as my personal
Tony,
lore
we need to make
smoking
this happen.
room, I'm ready to go.
I only have one request. Please get rid of the fireplace because it's boiling hot in here.
No, I think Pappy's Cavalcade is and then it's like
All right.
and then he's kind of like tumblers and maybe some mime.
Mime.
Well, breakdancing really is the kind. Yeah, breakdancing.
Miming a lot for.
All right. Anyway, yes.
Chad Nakango, I'm telling you, he could bring this all back. A Kango and an ascot.
So Genesis Prime, amazing drop, a lot of lore, but it was definitely geared towards more of the max players. I think it's the next drop, the Proto Games initiative, that really kind of spread across all different play styles, different levels, and stuff like that.
You are absolutely correct. The Proto Games. So fast forward. So that was then. Then we did the state of the game, and then we put out Proto Games initiative. That had it was great. That had a lot of different content, like you said, that was aimed towards a lot of different play styles. We had the Proto Games Training Academy coming in at level 10. We had a new ship hand coming in at level 6. Help players group easier. We had put everything in LFG, so people could just you didn't have to go finding these things. You could just, as soon as you hit the level, you could get into it. We added all kinds of cool stuff to housing. We added chop shop, so you can mess with the features, get your hair, your nails done, that kind of thing. It was just it was a really good drop for all the different kind of play styles. And we also added a new dungeon, the Proto Games Ultimate Proto Games, which is kind of like a very stylized,
like a game show.
A game show, yeah, like Running Man kind of vibe to it.
I like how you said chop shop. And when you said that, I think of when I go to the spa. I call it the chop shop now.
Do you?
Oh yeah, because I get everything redid.
get a lift. Yeah.
Well, no lift.
saying
No help for me.
And we have fragments there on there, lower level ship hands, which I have to say the pulp style is absolutely amazing. I love the style of that, but it helped lower level players kind of ease into ship hands and dungeons and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Then after that, we moved on into our, I wouldn't say it's our biggest drop to date.
It is.
It is our biggest. It is.
Invasion Nexus has all of the fun things. And, to expand on a lot of that, you guys worked extra hard to make sure a lot of this, and our team, all of the people at Carbine and NC Soft worked hard to make a lot of these things happen. And
I think, as Mike was talking about, with the Proto Games initiative, it was all about accessibility, right? How do we get people into these cool systems that we already have in the game so that, they can experience them? That's what the LFG was about, the ship hands. I think with Invasion Nexus, we just continued in that same vein, right? We doubled down on things like customization. So we added a whole companion pet system where players can pick the kind of pets that they want to follow them. You've got like the party lop, and you've got like a strain squirg, and all these really cool pets. 60 of them just in this update alone, allowing players to kind of have their own vibe as they adventure through the game. We added the Hollow Wardrobe, which is basically a way for players to customize their costumes anywhere in the world, so they don't have to go back to the capital cities anymore. They can just be out in the field, go in the Hollow Wardrobe. They have 350 costume slots. They don't have to slot the gear anymore. They can just imprint it, salvage it. Really, really awesome, right? We have a contract system now too, which is like a bonus objective system. So for max level players, they can take contracts. Let's say you get a contract to like kill 25 marauders. Marauders might be in any number of different kinds of content. They might be in a ship hand. They might be in a daily quest zone. They could be in a dungeon.
Could be overworld.
Could be overworld. And so anywhere in the world where there's marauders, you're A, getting rewarded for doing that content, B, you're getting rewarded for achieving the contract. So I've been playing the hell out of contracts now that they've dropped. It's super great way, I think, to A, get lots of rewards, but B, maybe incent you to go try out some different content.
Well, I'd actually like to add that, again, not 2 days ago, because the new system came in, we were out doing our, press thing and all that. So we're back, and I'm sitting here playing, and I find myself now going back to the zones that I didn't actually play through to level through to do all these low-level quests to get the armor.
Yeah.
So I spent a good couple hours just going through and finishing all these low-level quests just so I could get the armor, so I could imprint it and have more choices in my.
Yeah.
I absolutely would say that based on that is this update has been more for the completionist in all of us.
man.
Well, I'm definitely a completionist, and like you, I go back and just try everything. It's really the bane of my existence to not be able to ever complete anything. But I really like that too.
And the thing is all of those are sort of systems that lay on top of content. We added just bunches of new content too, right? We added a new adventure called Bay of Betrayal, which is pretty awesome. We added a new raid, sort of a boss in the box raid, which is called the Initialization Core Y83. We have a new daily quest, right, which we call Starcom Basin, which is actually different than our other ones, Northern Waste and Crimson Badlands, because the enemy groups actually rotate out depending on what day you're in. So players were giving us a lot of feedback about, hey, we like having content to do at max level, but we don't like that it's always the same. Now it's actually different depending on the day.
When you think about that, the contracts based on player feedback, capital players saying, look, we need more. The PCP was the same thing. You have all this. If you look at that list of features for Invasion Nexus, I'd say a good majority of those were based on player feedback.
Yeah.
And I would like to say as well, you think about it, because you said it was, it's the biggest. It is the biggest, and the one before that was the biggest before that, and
right.
so on and so forth. But the point is, all three of those quarterlies put together could be the size of an expansion.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think too, something that we want to make sure that we're communicating to players about the free-to-play transition. If you look at these quarterly updates, the amount of content that's in those, players should expect those are the kind of updates they're going to get when we actually hit the free-to-play transition. That part of it is not going to change at all. Our commitment to WildStar as a AAA game has never been stronger. We love this game. We know that there's players out there that really love it as well, and they should expect the same kind of updates as we move forward into WildStar.
And I know you want to move forward, but I have one last thing to say.
All right.
One last thing to say. So keep in mind, it's much like you said, we're AAA, we're going to keep making these releases. It took, and a little mea culpa here is, it's taken us about the last 3 releases. We've nailed it, right? We know how to make these quarterly releases. We can continue to make these. We have planned content. We can keep doing these quarter releases, and we intend to do it when we hit free to play and forward. We've proven it. And that was part of when we talked about the state of the game. We talked about these things, and these were promises that we were making, saying, look, we're going to do this, and we wanted to focus on if we said a thing that we do that thing, and I think the last 3 releases have proven.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of that comes from the success we've had on the PTR, right? We've had a lot more player feedback the last 3 drops, and that's why we want to really build out this PTR for the free-to-play transition in the form of a closed beta. So although it's called the beta, it's actually PTR, but it's open to more people than just subscription players.
Yeah, and we need more people. That's the whole point. I think, I don't know if we can talk about that, but what was the number of people who signed up, like, in the first?
Oh, I don't think we're going to talk about
We
that.
probably have, but it was a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah. It was
a lot more than
All
anybody
the
expected to
people.
happen in like 4 hours, but a ton of people signed up, and that's awesome. Because if we got that many people in, just that many people from 4 hours, that would help greatly kind of just shake this out and make sure that the systems that we're putting in free to play is something that everybody is really going to enjoy.
Yeah.
And like on our PTR, again, feedback is important, and that's how we get the feedback. So I believe our last PTR session was probably the longest that we had ever been on. We spent a lot of time, and that was the precursor to the Invasion Nexus drop. Actually, we're not using drop. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a
Release.
update.
Yeah.
So that's where we get your feedback, and that's where we design our game essentially and make those changes before we release live. So it's so important to have you guys in the game. It's so important for people to come in, experience it, not just experience it, but give us the feedback, answer the surveys at the end of quests. To do these things so that we can design around that.
I think too, it's just good to know, right, that from a studio standpoint, when we decided to do this, it was very important to us that we didn't just make the changes and flip the switch and have people start playing it. We wanted everyone to be able to go in, experience the changes, see the free-to-play systems, way in advance, right? We're not going to do this until we actually can do it right. That's why we need people to get up there and actually.
That's why we took. Because again, like you said, they flip the switch, right? Like, oh, hey, we're going free to play 2 weeks from now. Boom, you're done, right? And when we decided to do this, we looked at a lot of other transitions. We looked at a lot of different games and how they did it, and there was good things and bad things, and we wanted to focus on. We had such success with PTR, with all this feedback we got from the players. We're like, why don't we put the players into the systems for the transition and have them tell us, hey, this is, maybe this is too much, or hey, give us more of this, or you're not thinking about that. And I think it's, it is going to be key to our successful transition to free to play in the fall.
Yep.
Absolutely. And, we've talked about all of the things that have happened in the past over the last year, and we want we want you guys to know that you guys were excited about it, and we were excited about it, and we want to know why and build on why players should be excited moving forward. For instance, we want to talk about like our current players and the things that are coming up in our future. One in particular is basically what comes with our subscribers and our current subscribers and our future subscribers and people who have participated and given anything and paid anything into WildStar. So we want to expand on that and highlight on some of those things.
There's a lot of reasons players should be excited.
Yeah, I think for me, the number one reason why players should be excited is just removing all those barriers and all those obstacles, right? There is no more excuse for anyone that wants to try WildStar not to get in there and try it out. That means that millions of more players will come in and be able to experience this game that we've created.
And that was based on feedback. That's forum stuff right there. Don't listen to us. Go check it out.
Yeah. Anyone that plays an MMO knows that if the population of your game is higher, if there are more people in the world, it's just a better experience for everybody, right? Queue times are shorter. It just feels better, right? You're running around in a zone. You run across a world boss, let's say. You get a bunch of random people getting together. There's just a feeling that you get from that you don't get if you don't have lots of players that are in there. So that, for me, I think is the most exciting thing about going free to play, is just that there's going to be a lot more people around to enjoy the game with. Second, we are actually instituting a couple of programs for players that are subscribers, either have been subscribers or will be subscribers based on this announcement. And there's some really cool items Dee, why don't you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, yesterday we went ahead and posted some content on the website, which will give you full details about what it is that you can expect. But our anniversary is on June 3rd. 1 year on June 3rd, we launched our game.
Tonight would be a head start, right?
Absolutely. Tonight would be Head Start last year. And it's been an exciting year. It's been a really, really great ride. And one of the ways that we want to express our appreciation for you is to give you guys rewards. Many people subscribed to WildStar. And those subscribers stayed subscribed and have been with us from the very beginning. And so for those people who have been with us from the very beginning, we want to give you a few really, really awesome things. One of those things is a mount. The other thing is a pet. And then, of course, some housing decor. So we have the Ixion crawler, and our designers went ahead and put this really awesome exclusive mount in the game that is not going to be able to be had anywhere else. So this is for people who have been subscribed since June 3rd last year, up until basically our free-to-play transition. So you get that really cool mount, and you can see it on the screen right now, and you're going to go ahead and get the DJ Caretaker. The DJ Caretaker comes with a really cool piece of music. If you were or if you had watched our trailer that started off the show in the very beginning, you heard the music in that. And you're going to have access to that on your housing plot, along with the DJ Caretaker there. We also are going to give you a really cool pet. Probably my most favorite pet in the game to date is the Disco Snoglug.
It's pretty amazing.
It really is amazing, and he's cute. And
I don't know, man. He's got some shifty eyes there.
And his
shifty
mouth,
guy.
yeah, those teeth are a little bit ouchy, but basically, that's for all of you people who have subscribed from the beginning, and you're also going to get 2 cool new titles, Living Legend and Nexus Loyalist. Those are the great things. But in addition to those, you also get 4 months of signature service. Now, moving on in the coming months, signature service is one of those things that we're going to expand on. So pay attention to all of the live streams that are going to come out, all of our written content that's going to come out.
God, what are you touching?
And go ahead. Tony is doing something crazy. And go ahead and just
What's going on here?
Anyway, so pay attention to that. We're going to expand on that in this show a little bit, and then really expand on it in future content coming up. Moving on, for those people who have not been subscribed or you've had a lapsed subscription, we have something for you too. Subscribe on June 15th. Subscribe now even. But from June 15th on through our free-to-play transition, for this you can get this housing DJ Caretaker decor item. You can also get, again, the exclusive music that comes with him. You get the companion pet, which is the Disco Snoglug. And you also get 4 months, again, of signature service and the Nexus Loyalist title. So that's for all of you people. So whether you're lapsed or not, you're still going to get something. No one gets nothing. Subscribe now. And again, subscribe by June 15th, and you'll get these awesome items.
And yeah, again, if you've paid any sort of money into the game, whether it's cred, whether you were part of the mystery box promotion, bought a box, subscription, anything you've ever done to spend money in WildStar, you will be part of that loyalty program.
We track all of that.
We track everything you guys do in game.
So we're watching.
Thing. You threw money at WildStar, you're going to get something.
Exactly.
And let's expand on that. I'm glad that you brought that up, because there is this loyalty program that we were talking about. I would love to expand on that and hear what you guys have to say.
I'll be happy to expand on that.
Can you tell us about the
I
loyalty
will.
program?
I will say more of this thing. So the loyalty program, think of it as a thermometer that just builds up, right? So if you bought the box, as you said, if you bought a digital copy, a digital box, if you went to the promotion for the mystery box promotion, your sub every single month, all of that together, every time you spend any of that money, it just builds up your thermometer, and then you can get all these cool items from it. So you're filling up your thermometer. Everyone thinks that's funny. I don't understand why that's funny. It's just a thermometer.
It's an amazing analogy.
Okay, well, I expect to see one then in some.
There will be one on the webpage.
Okay.
And I think, to clarify too, as you fill up the thermometer,
this is not a funny word. I don't understand this.
It equals points that you can then spend to purchase items that are specifically for players that have earned loyalty points.
Imagine it's a test tube.
Right.
Oh, that's not funny.
It's not funny.
And basically, anybody gets these.
Yep.
Everybody gets these
Loyalty points.
loyalty points
Yeah,
in
so
game
it
for
fills
anything.
up their thermometer.
Yeah.
which then has unlocks and whatnot. And yeah, we got it, right? You'll get stuff because you spent money, and we love you for it, and you're loyal, and we love loyalty.
Now, what kinds of things? Where do they spend that stuff?
Well, there'll be a place where your thermometer is, where all these things unlock, and you just get to get whatever you want.
I think
it's gonna be cool.
In the near future, in the coming months, we're going to have
we'll
more
have more
information
detail.
on the loyalty program. So if you're following us on Twitter, if you like us on Facebook, on the forums, we're going to have all this information soon, TM. So you'll learn more about the tiers in the loyalty program, what that will get you. But it's kind of awesome. We just, about it right now. But so in addition to the loyalty program, we're also going to have an in-game store, which will have a separate set of items. So the loyalty program will be, an exclusive set of items.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that I think that's where people get a lot of confusion going on, because if you were subscribed from the beginning all the way through the transition, there's a set of really cool stuff that you mentioned. If you pick up a box now, right, not only do you get looped into the mystery box promotion, but you also you pick up a box or even the digital copy, even though the digital copy doesn't get you the same mystery box kind of stuff. But if you got subbed today and you take that all the way until the transition, we have a separate set of items for that group of players. But if you're from the beginning, you get all the items, and then you're building loyalty the entire time. And even if you got a box today and started subbing today until the signature status transition, then you'd be building loyalty the whole time. And there's just a lot of stuff going on. And then what you're talking about is that's the MTX, the in-game store. The in-game store, very simply, is we're going to have an in-game currency. What's it?
N-coin.
N-coin. N-coin can be purchased, and then you will get. Just trying to loop Chad in. Just wanted to be part of the. I don't want to keep running my mouth. And
Okay, buddy. Everyone expects you to run your mouth.
fair enough.
man.
I accept that. So anyway, back to running my mouth. We're going to have N-coin that you can purchase, and then there's going to be cool. Customization things, mounts, costumes, housing decor items. There's going to be, convenience items like, XP and drop boost. They're going to have instantaneous teleportation tokens and wait here tokens and all this great stuff that you can get for the N-coin. But there's more.
There's more?
Yes, there is more, and that more is not that more.
Not that more.
Mike, let's say I didn't want to buy N-coin. Is there a way for me to get some of those convenience and vanity items in the game?
As a matter of fact, there is. What it is it's omnibits, and what that just means is a player gets for just playing the game naturally, just earning XP and doing content and doing that stuff. They'll get omnibits as a drop. It's a currency, and that currency, the players can buy the very same kind of things that you can get with in-game cash. So it's a kind of, we call it, the technical term is sweat currency, where you can actually, earn the currency throughout the game, and it's just a way for everybody, paying players or signature players, even free-to-play players, get the same access to a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole idea with omnibits was, hey, we know that not everyone in the world is going to want to buy N-coin, right? But we really appreciate all different kinds of players in our game, whether they're free-to-play or paying, and so we wanted to give free-to-play players a way to earn these things, right, by just playing the game, investing their time, investing their effort, and allow them to get those same kinds of things that people that purchase.
And we've been talking a lot about the loyalty players, and the players have been helping us along, but that's a really good point, is that free-to-play players are very important to us as well, hence why we added this system, because free-to-play players are content for everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's content, right? When we look at it, we go, hey, the more people that are playing, like you said, there's more queues popping, there's more PvP happening, there's more everything, there's more trading, there's more auction houses. It's just players are content for each other, and it's just, we don't want, again, that's what we said at the very beginning, free to play removes all the barriers. We want everybody to have the same kind of content, the same kind of experience, so that everybody's going to have a good time.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of questions too about what's going to be in the in-game store, and although we're not really getting into that right now, I can say, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, in the post roll for the video, the announcement video with the caretaker, there's a couple Easter eggs in there that are some items that may or may not be coming.
Or
You
Maybe
mean
free
like
to play.
Or maybe.
one
Or
of the
maybe.
mounts that's in there, maybe?
Perhaps.
That's my favorite. Not saying that it is coming.
So if
but
you didn't stick around for the credits at the end of the video, do so.
just hit YouTube. You can.
Well, here's the one thing that is not going to be in the game. Not going to be in the in-game store. It's going to not be
Completely
whatever.
fair statement.
One thing that's not going to be in the in-game store.
We sat down with the team, and it was unanimous across the board. We will not sell power. It's an easy way to make some money. I sell a sword that you can kill Chad with. Not that you would need to help to kill Chad.
Wow.
In-game.
I don't want to kill anyone.
But we're not going to do that. It's just obnoxious, and it's something we didn't want to do. We think that again, players playing with other players, and the convenience and customization stuff for us is going to be plenty. But we're not going to sell power. We want it to stay competitive. Our game is competitive.
Basically, what that means is this is not going to be a pay-to-win.
No.
This is a free-to-play, traditional, like really free-to-play, across the board, omni-bits and everything game for those people who want to play fully free.
Except I should mention, because I don't think we have yet anybody who's new to the stream and to the game. If you're just tuning in here about WildStar for the first time, we are a very action-oriented combat game. There's dodging and telegraphing. That's why we added the level 10 training dungeon to get people more interrupt armor and things of that nature, because it's very action-oriented. But we did, again, a lot of the changes we've been doing have been focused on making it kind of a smoother, making it more accessible. We didn't make it technically, we didn't just go and make it easier. We went into the game, we found monster groups that were too clumped together and spread them out. We did a lot of work on the content side, so when we do this transition, it's players, hardcore players, all the way to casual players, everybody is going to have easy access to get into the game and enjoy it.
We do have a question. This one comes to us from Twitch. As a player that wants to take advantage of the free-to-play system, I won't be able to create a guild, based on they've read our FAQ by now.
Sure.
So why limit a social feature like this? These are important things, and so, it's also important that we don't just let anyone be able to create a guild.
Well, I think we learned, right, at the beginning.
Kind of the hard way, actually.
We learned the hard way at the beginning, whether it's sub or free to play. You tend to have people getting into the game and, gold farmers and people who just want to harass people, and they can just spin up guilds. I mean, I was getting, at the very beginning when we launched, we've solved that problem through customer service now and some tools that we have behind the scenes, but I was getting spammed gold farmer guild invites, where I couldn't actually go 10 feet without getting another guild invite of go to www.ahole.com and buy my gold. And it's just like, man, that sucks, right?
Yeah.
So, this is actually a pretty good way for us to, when it goes free to play, you're going to have 100,000 times as many of those people trying to get in and use these tools. So it's just best for us to kind of put the kibosh on it now.
Absolutely. And that's a very important thing. And of course, we will expand on this again in the coming months.
Sure.
So, what else is coming for WildStar? I know that many people have had concerns that this just basically stops our update, but both of you have echoed loud and clear that this doesn't stop any updates from coming in the future. Our content is going to continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if all we were doing in the fall was the transition, it would be a huge update, right? But we are doing way more than just that. This will be by far the biggest update that we've ever had
until the next one.
Yeah, just to lay out a few things, these are just some highlights, but a few things to talk about. One, we are completely revamping the tutorial experiences for both the Exiles and the Dominion. Anyone that's played the ARC ships, you will now be able to skip those. There will be actually 3 different options for players. So if you've never played an MMO, we have one kind of tutorial experience. If you've played MMOs but not WildStar, it's another. And if you've played WildStar and you just want to skip the tutorial altogether, you can do that
Or
too.
if you've played MMOs and you're just like, look, let me get to the planet and get going, you can just press the button and go.
And then we also, as Mike talked about, made some adjustments to the overall or the early zones, right? So we looked at quest flow, looked at kill counts, just looked at the way that monsters respond. That whole experience at the beginning of the game is just much smoother for everyone.
Yeah, we did it from 1 to 50, so I think you can see if you've played before, if you're like a former player and you're coming back and checking it out, you're going to see a marked change in the way our game plays.
One of the really big things that we're doing is completely overhauling the itemization in the game and the player stats, right? We got tons of feedback from players saying, hey, I'm not exactly sure which stat is important to me depending on what class I'm playing, which then led to confusion about, should I keep this item? Should I keep this piece of armor? So based on all that feedback, we have basically decided to strip down all of those systems to the nuts and bolts and made them a lot more clear and intuitive and simpler for players to understand. It is a huge amount of work, but it will affect every single player in the game and make that experience better for just about everybody.
Casual players will understand it better. Min-maxers will have a better, again, an easier understanding of what's going on. I would like to call out, though, that we are not making any changes to player power. Like, that was pretty much one of the tenets of doing it, is we want the players, if they're coming back, it'll be easier to understand, but they will be just as powerful. We didn't nerf anybody in this thing. It wasn't like that.
The big N word.
No.
No nerfing.
Another change that isn't as big but is just as impactful, I think, is, we have our AMP system, right? The AMP system is sort of our talent tree in WildStar. So right now there are certain of those AMPs that are locked behind item drops. So you might have earned enough AMP points to get to a certain node in the tree. You get there and it's like, wait, I can't unlock it because I didn't do that quest or get that drop. Frustrating for many players, and so we have decided now to completely take away all of those item unlocks. Every node in the tree will be available to you as a player as soon as you get to that point in the tree. So that's a really, really big change, and I think something that players are really going to enjoy. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh no, we've also done some enhancements, right?
Yeah.
We've enhanced a lot of our dungeon content, made it easily we've enhanced it for again our higher end players, our cap players, and then also moving into that, we mentioned earlier the Proto games. So we've done a lot of things to help continue that. Our promise is to continue on the improvement to your quality of life in game. And that's a really important detail. It's one of our key philosophies is making sure that we create a really awesome game experience for all of you, especially our newcomers.
Yeah. We did a lot of. You'll see it again if you're a former player and you're coming back. Not only is it a better game, which is hands down a better game, you'll see, like you said, the user experience is super improved. We've had a ton of work. That team has been, God bless them. They've been working their asses off to get this thing nailed down. You've seen it in game. It's just, it's a different kind of game.
Yeah, I will say, I think you mentioned the dungeon changes.
We call them dungeon smoothies.
Yeah.
It's a very technical terminology in our.
I think it's fair to say that our dungeons are some of our coolest content. Players have said a whole lot that they really enjoy our dungeons. They like the challenge of them. They like the variety and the encounter types and the overall environments. But one of the things that we saw when we actually looked at the analytics is you had tons of people that were jumping into the dungeons, but you weren't getting as many people who were successful at those, especially early on. So what that resulted in over time is that you got mid-range, and you had a big fall off of the number of players who were getting in there, because they're like, well, if I can't be successful in the first dungeon, how am I going to be successful in 3 or 4 down the line? So what we did is we spread the dungeon. We've spread all the dungeons over the progression more evenly, and then we tweaked some of the challenge level of the early dungeons so that players get in there, they learn those mechanics. We actually, obviously we have Proto Games Academy, which teaches them early on, but now they get into, like Storm Talon's Lair and the Ruins of Kel'Vareth, and they get more success. They understand what it means to play a WildStar dungeon, so that when they get further up the line, Sanctuary of the Sword Maiden, Skullcano, right? That now they're really ready for that. And I can say personally, and Mike can probably attest to this, that as a director group, we started to run those. I wouldn't say that we're exactly the greatest dungeon runners of all time, but we got lots of success early on in those. So I think players overall are really going to enjoy that experience. But what I do think is important to note is, we did not make those easier across the board. We just allowed a little easier ramp so that players, when they get to that bigger challenge at the end,
we changed the level range a little. We tweaked. You get support gear earlier. And again, if you're a player who just likes to group content, we added the level 6 ship hand, and you get an indicator as soon as you So you really hit the ground from the arc ship at level 3, and then by level 6 you're grouping with other players, and then boom, you're in the level 10, you've got some support gear, and then all of a sudden you're into. So again, you could level all the way through group content now. We've added all those hooks, so I think it's just, again, a better experience for the players.
And those really are that's 4 really big areas that we are improving. There are hundreds of others. We are going to be releasing more information about that as we get closer to transition. But again, this is going to be the biggest release that we've ever had for WildStar.
That's great. That's awesome. It's exciting time for all of us. And we're running out of time. We're getting close to our time limit here. But so we want to move into some Q&A. We know that you have like really important questions, and we want to get to those questions, and we want to answer as many of them as possible. But keep in mind that we cannot see your questions unless you put a big old gigantic Q in front of it with a colon. That's for our Twitch people. And then we've also compiled a list of questions from Twitter, from Reddit, from our forums, in our feedback thread, and we've put them all in one big lump sum, and we're going to just go ahead and move along into those and hope that you guys can answer some really good questions for us.
So can they still put questions in right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, just don't neglect your colon.
Yeah, don't, oh, Mike.
Colon question.
Mike, you know, that's a rule for life.
Q
Q colon.
Q colon. Whoa, jeez Louise.
And that is one thing that's never going away.
You know, that worked out real well with the queuing the colon thing. I'm just saying, you just helped make that bad.
Oh, boy, okay.
So on to the questions.
Okay.
It's all you.
Is it me?
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm afraid now. There's a Nerf gun pointed at me.
I got
Thank you. Okay, so this one comes to us from Twitter. Our player says, I missed 1 month of subscription. Is there any way for me to get the crawler mount?
Currently, the plan is if you've subscribed all the way through from launch until we do the transition, you'll get access to the crawler mount. But if you haven't, you won't.
So 0 lapse in subscription.
Yeah. Yes, but there are very cool things that if you, again, like if you subscribe today, not only will you get, you know, a cool set of items, you'll also get grandfathered into, you know, all of your bag space and all of your slots and all of your character slots and all that great stuff. Right. So I recommend it if you still haven't bought a box. But if you did buy a box and you're picking back up, you're grandfathered into all that good content for the signature service later on.
So we got a question from Twitter kind of related to that,
Okay.
if people used cred as their sub, do they still get the Player Appreciation Awards?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They do.
So all cred counts.
Yep.
Yes.
All
Okay.
credit counts.
Good. Like adding to that, will they be able to redeem cred for signature status after the transition?
Hell yes.
Yes.
So cred is not going away.
No, cred's great, and I, like I said, I'm, you know, I'm playing the game. I'm farming my gold and stuff, so I'm stockpiling a little cred on the sides because when they, you know, when we release the hounds and everybody pours in the game,
Yeah, I mean,
cred's only going to go up.
I do think it's important to note that the cred system has actually been one of our most successful systems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the cred markets on our servers are active, you know, and it's a great way for players to avoid the risk of gold farmers and just go out there and use cred to, you know, to either get gold or get game time.
Cred has bought me at least 2 mounts and a whole slew of housing stuff.
If only it could get you skill at WildStar.
Or
Oh, shots fired.
Fair.
Hello. Moving along. This one comes to us from the forums. So the frequently asked questions doc, aka the FAQ, says that free-to-play players cannot create or be invited to guilds. Does this apply if they're already in a guild?
Okay, we're just gonna start at the beginning and work our way through this. A free-to-play player in the new system can be invited to guilds. They can't invite, they can't create. A player who is signature can do all of those things. They can invite, they can create a guild, they can join guilds. If they are a signature member and then they stop being a signature member, even if they started the guild, they can still be in it. They can still run it, technically. They just can't do any inviting. You have to get a signature member to do the inviting of that sort. So pretty much boil it down to is if you are a signature player, you can create, invite, and join guilds. If you are a free-to-play player, even if you transitioned, you can join guilds, but you can't invite or create.
Okay, so
it's
they
pretty
will
simple.
not get kicked.
Nope.
They'll remain in their guild if they're already in one during the transition.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
All right, so I guess related to that, if the player wants to become part of the free-to-play system, they can't create the guild. Why are we limiting the social feature?
Well, it's much like I was saying before. It's just there's just so many things that can go wrong with that if we gave access. Because anybody, a gold farmer, somebody who harasses people, just anybody who wants to troll can just go and start guilds over and over and over and over again. And you know, and this goes to circles, and this goes to pretty much all of those social features. It can just become a real pain in the ass, and it's just something we don't want to deal with.
That's something that we dealt with in the beginning when the game launched.
Yeah,
Is just
absolutely. And we've
exploiters,
worked
fraud, abuse.
And we have worked a lot of that out, but when you go free to play, it's like you said, you're inviting millions more players into your game, and there's no barrier. There's no reason to stop. Everybody's going to try it out. I mean, hell, I try out free to play games all the time. You're just going to try it out, and then we just don't want to make it worse for the players who, either the super loyal players or the new players who love the game. We just don't want to make it worse for them.
All right, so one of the questions from the Twitch chat that we've gotten is, what is the difference between the Player Appreciation Awards and the Loyalty Rewards?
Is that the Twitch chat right there?
It is the Twitch chat.
Twitch
Oh
chat.
man, that's not right. That's not right. Please,
Never read the chat.
please say it again. I apologize for looking. I
why we
think
have
I
moderators.
burned my eyeball out looking at that chat.
Okay, Twitch chat
Twitch
question.
chat, please again.
Difference between the Player Appreciation Award, so the amount, the caretaker item,
Chad's gonna jump all over this one.
and
He
the Loyalty
loves
Rewards.
this
So I think it's a pretty simple distinction, right? The Player Appreciation Awards are really focused on players who either have subscribed since the time that we launched or will be subscribing between now and when we transition in the fall, right? It's that group of people that the Player Appreciation Awards are focused on. The loyalty rewards are focused on those players as well. They will earn loyalty points by doing those things, but the loyalty program continues on, right?
The thermometer.
Right, exactly.
Just fills up forever.
So, we will reward the players through the Player Appreciation Awards when we transition, and those programs will end, right? But the loyalty program goes on as you continue to engage with the game, whether you purchase Signature membership or you buy things via Endcoin, you will continue to increase your loyalty points and get access to an ongoing stream of unique rewards that will be for loyal players.
Yep.
Excellent.
All right, and another question, again, from Twitch chat. Never read the
I'm
chat.
not looking at it.
So earlier we talked about how we're going to continue our cadence for releasing new content. Do we ever have plans to charge for that content, specifically raids, BGs, housing, costumes, etc.?
BG's Battlegrounds, for you newbies out there.
You noobs. Yeah,
So
sorry.
I would say the easiest way to explain this would be that, yes, housing, decor items, and costume pieces and mount stuff, we're definitely going to be putting that on our in-game store, and there's a lot of very cool stuff in process right now. And
You'll also still get some of those things just from
that's
regular
stuff,
playing
absolutely.
the game.
Pets,
right?
the whole 9 yards. There are going to be in the in-game store, that's for sure. We're not selling raid content. We're not selling dungeons and battlegrounds and things of that nature because we don't want to separate the players. I mean, again, it goes back to barriers. We don't want to create more barriers for players so they can't, and then queue times are crappy again. So we're not doing that. There's no current plans to gate any content through that.
Excellent. We have one that we pulled from Reddit. What happens if we have more than 12 characters and want to switch to the free-to-play model? Will that person still have access to all of their characters?
So, what we are doing, if you have purchased a box or the digital copy,
The digital box.
or digital
Digital
box,
box.
right? In the past or between now and when we transition, you will be grandfathered into having all of those slots available to you once you go free to play. So even if you decide not to be a signature member past the free to play transition, if you buy a box or a digital box now, you will have access to all of those characters.
Oh yeah, all the characters you made, you will have access to.
Which I think is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome.
So one question we've been getting from Twitter is, will the loyalty points replace Renown?
No. Renown is its own currency. Loyalty points, again, is the thermometer that you fill up over time. It's not a currency for, again, if you bought the box, if you paid a sub, if you decide to be signature, if you bought a box in the promo, if you did any of that stuff, that all puts loyalty points into your thermometer, and it builds up and it unleashes cool rewards to you. So no, it is definitely not replacing Renown. Renown is still doing what it's doing.
They're two separate things.
Yep, absolutely.
Excellent.
A different feature, actually.
Yeah. This one comes to us from the forums, but has been answered, but it bears repeating.
Sure.
It says on our content, our FAQ is that box purchasers on the FAQ. Does this refer to both physical and the digital copy?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Resounding yes.
Yeah, as many But it is also good to mention, and we've done so already, while a digital box did get you, will grandfather you, it will also provide you a certain amount of loyalty depending on how the box price and then how much you've subscribed. But that is not the
Mystery
the promo.
box promo.
Mystery box promo is just on actual physical boxes. It's been pretty cool so
I
far.
mean, for those players that are viewers, right, that don't know about the mystery box promo, this is basically if you go to a retailer and you buy a physical box, that allows you to
and they're pretty discounted. I mean, it's actually not
at
like
this
it's
point, I
full
think
price.
you get them for $20
$20
bucks, right? You have the possibility of getting 3 very unique
One of 3,
items,
yep.
right? One of 3. One, the Snarflinx mount, which is
My favorite.
pretty awesome. 2, the Marauder costume, which is cool. And then the third one is the Glitter Kitty Cruiser, which, in my opinion, is
amazing.
one of the pretty awesome
It really
hoverboards.
is.
Mike doesn't seem
I
to
do not agree. Hey, look, I don't have to. Look, I'm going to wait for the next grouping.
All right. Okay.
Well, that goes along with another question that comes to us from our Twitch chat: is will there be more content when free to play comes?
No more. There's no more
that's
content.
it.
We're done.
We're done.
Don't say that.
No, of course there's going to be more content. That's the whole point of this thing was that the release to the free to play transition is going to have a gigantic amount of content to it, and I can honestly say. Scouts honors, that's the whole thing. I can honestly say that yesterday we had a meeting to go over what's going to be in the release after that. We have holidays coming. There's a lot of really awesome stuff past that free play transition. That was the point I said earlier. We've proven that we can do quarterly releases. We built the team is practiced at it. We've built a release process that can, guarantee a very polished thing. That's why we have PTR. That's why we put it up months ahead of time. We've done everything we could so that we could say that we're doing a thing and we can execute on that. And so, yes, there will absolutely, positively be more content after the transition. As a matter of fact, more. That release will be bigger than the one previously.
Yeah.
Well, while we don't have basically content questions in our FAQ and are answering that, we do have a frequently asked questions document. We also have a knowledge base article full of the information that you need to know regarding credit card purchases, how that's going to happen, what's going to happen with our authenticator stuff. All of that is on our site. But moving along, because we want to get all of your questions in, we do have one from the forums. One of our forum members says, I have no active sub and will not be back in game until after free to play. Will I still have all my stuff? And I think we answered this before, but it bears repeating.
Yeah, I mean, so if you bought the extra boxes for the mystery box promo, each time you bought a box, you got a month of game time. So that will apply, obviously, right until the transition in the fall. Once we transition, that game time then converts to months of signature service.
Right.
So you're not losing anything. All of that information gets tracked, and you get that.
Yeah, we had a player buy a copious amount of physical boxes because you can take the items that you don't want, or if you get dupes, you can take them and actually trade them. So that's very cool. We had a guy. How many boxes was it?
22.
22, which is awesome. Thank you. We appreciate that. And that person, that means that person, they can sub all the way up. They can get all the really cool rewards we said for people who sub from now until release. And then post that, all that time just converts into signature status. Yeah. Same thing with cred, right? If instead of me hoarding my cred to, play the market when it goes back out, I can turn around and apply that all and then have signature service till the cows come up. So
and
it's
the
actually
loyalty points too, right? You build up the thermometer.
With
those 22 boxes.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of loyalty points.
The thermometer.
That guy's going to be able to buy, he's going to get everything day one. It's going to be super cool.
Hey, Dev, the thermometer needs to be a thing now. Just saying. Start designing. Because thermometer. Come on.
Sure it's I'm sure it's already a thermometer sketch somewhere that is filling up. But,
if there's not, there will be.
They'll be on the internet, I'm sure, very soon. And I hope you take Chad's head and make it the top of the thermometer.
I'm not sure if you want to do that.
So we have to wrap up the Q&A right now. We're running out of time. If there were any questions that you still needed answers on, feel free to go into the forums. There is a thread that's already started where you could add your questions to that. Follow us on on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook. And we do have threads on there too, where you could start, asking more questions. The devs will be on there as well, Reddit too. So we have free to play coming in the coming months. Be sure that you sign up for closed beta. In the description of the Twitch channel, there is a button that says sign up for closed beta. Click that, enter your email, and you'll be signed up. We'll be sending email invites in waves in the coming months, and you'll be able to participate in the PTR/closed beta.
That's awesome. Cool. Now, here's the thing. We want to thank everyone for taking time out of your day to watch us. If you've missed this, which you wouldn't have if you're actually watching us, this will re-air on YouTube. So all of this live stream that you see will be on YouTube, and you will be able to re-watch it later if there's something that you missed in there. But if you've already missed it, it's going to be on YouTube, and you wouldn't know as I say these words because you're missing this right now.
I'm already confused. I don't know what's happening.
confused myself.
Watch YouTube later.
Yes, please. Go to YouTube. Again, thank you all for your, just passion and loyalty and feedback on our forums, on Twitter, on YouTube, some of our commentary, and also on Facebook. We really appreciate this. This is only the beginning of what is to come for WildStar, and we're excited to bring the rest to you over time. So please, go ahead and please, keep an eye on all of these places on the site, everywhere, because more content is incoming as far as highlighting and clarifying a lot of these things, and then a lot of what's to come.
And please sign up for the beta if you can, because you're going to get in there. You're going to help us with the feedback. We said we wanted to listen to feedback. We mean it. That's why we've waited and said, hey, we're not going to release free to play until it's ready. We're going to release it in the fall when we get our feedback. Please, we need your help. We want your help. We talked about new kind of content updates. We've been doing these things. We've done all these things for you. So I don't know where I'm pointing my hands at anymore. I'm Italian. This is how it works. I don't get to speak without doing this. But please help us out. Work this out with us with the free to play. We're doing this for you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll see you all on Nexus.
Planet Nexus. A legendary world, once home to an ancient race of near limitless power. Its wonders have attracted adventurers from the furthest reaches of the galaxy. Driven by desperation and destiny, they fight to control the planet's extraordinary mysteries. And now, an even greater secret is about to be revealed. Ahead, I'd say things are going to get wild. I do so love a good party.
Rated T for teen.
The Eldon said I was their greatest creation, but I wasn't strong enough to save them. I have begun to observe what I can only describe as unusual behaviors in Drusera.
The time has come. All preparations have been made for the destruction of the entity.
Subject has been sedated. Prepare for termination protocols. Initiating primal disintegrator in 3, 2, 1. What?
I'm so sorry. I couldn't tell you. I was afraid.
Beyond the fringe of known space. Fearsome foes and terrifying titans are bolstering their forces on planet Nexus, and it's up to brave heroes like you to stop them. Invasion Nexus is coming to WildStar. Starcom Basin is under lockdown, and nasty characters from all corners of the globe are trying to break their way in. Go it alone or team up with fellow do-gooders and clean up the neighborhood. Even the digital world isn't safe in the Caretaker's new SimCore adventure, Bay of Betrayal. Techno wizards are stirring up trouble in Levian Bay, and it'll take more than a big sword and good looks to win a gold medal in this race. A little techno wizardry would go a long way when you and 19 of your friends enter Initialization Core Y83. Every bot on Nexus could be zombified if this technophage virus isn't stopped in its tracks. Max out your raid skills and eliminate those crazed automatons. The loot is out there. Looking for loot to go with your loot? The new contract system gives you plenty of chances to score rare gear and strut your stuff. Be sure to load up on contracts before you start saving the galaxy. By now you must be asking, how do I juggle all this flashy new armor? Good thing the new Hollow Wardrobe lets you keep all your favorite fashions while freeing up those precious inventory slots. And finally, get ready for the biggest, baddest, cuddliest invasion of all. Companion Pets. Never be alone again with your own stable of adorable, terrifying, and just plain awesome sidekicks. It's time to do your part, Galactic Hero. Time to make ready for battle, for action, and for fun. It's time for Invasion Nexus.